Hey everybody, Matt Donner, Chief Academic Officer here at Pyramind, and I am going to present to you a little video on working with Drummer in Logic. Specifically, the goal here is not so much to deal with Drummer. I'm sure there's a lot of information out there on Drummer already. What I am using Drummer for is to showcase the idea that you can use Drummer to create rhythms and do something that I think a lot of people, when they're first starting out building rhythm tracks, struggle with, which is how do you make something interesting that repeats just enough to be familiar and doesn't repeat so much that it becomes boring. You've probably been there. Some of your first pieces, you made a really awesome 1-bar drum loop and you looped it out for 64 bars, and a couple of weeks later you listen back to the track, you say, wow, those drums are really boring. What I'm going to show you today is the ability to use Drummer here in Logic X to create drum parts for you that you don't really have to think about that much. It takes a lot of the struggle out of the process, and you can get some really interesting and fairly random ideas with some very simple mouse clicks. So first things first, I want to introduce you to Drummer. For those of you who don't know it, it's this guy down here at the bottom. This whole unit is Drummer. And if you make a new track, one of the options it gives you is to make a drummer. You'll notice mine is grayed out, and that's because I already have a drummer. And like most bands, usually they work best when there's only one drummer. So it's grayed out for me, and that's because I've already got one. Now, what you may or may not know about Drummer is that there are actually two sides to Drummer. This being one side, and then this being the other side. I guess if you wanted to think about it, this is the third side. Notice you have this thing down here called the SoCal kit. And if you click on it, it brings up this guy, which is also new to Logic X. It is Drum Designer. So you can actually create your own drum set here. We happen to be working with this combination drum set where if you click on the instrument, it gives you the sound and you can adjust its tuning, its dampening. Dampening is how long it rings out, and its volume. And if you click on the snare, you can see there's a little bit of dampening and a little bit of volume adjustment. And if you click on the toms, it allows you to adjust all three of them. You come over here for the low, the mid, and the high. And you can see there's more dampening on the mid and low, a little extra gain on the low tom. Same with the hi-hats, cymbals, and the ride cymbal. So this is the drum set that happens to be behind Drummer. You can change your presets here if you wish, and there's a bunch of content you can download to beef up your drum kit options. For right now, we're going to keep it simple, and we're going to leave it in SoCal kit. And we're going to let Kyle be the drummer, although if you don't like Kyle, you can switch to Logan and Anders and Jesse or Max or whatever you like. So for right now, we're going to stay with Kyle. We're going to stay in the rock domain, although you could easily switch to these varieties. Clearly, Drummer meant to imitate the behavior of a live person playing drums. You may not necessarily get amazing results here if you're looking for very EDM genre-specific stuff. You'll see there's no house, there's no trance, there's no electro, but sometimes you can take these beats and when you reapply them to other sounds, they might give you something that works. And we're going to play with that a little bit today. Now, here is really the guts of Drummer. And what you're looking at in simple terms are some adjustability here on the right of the drum set itself. And this is really the part that I think is going to serve us the best today. Now, the idea, again, is to try to grab drum parts that are really good in terms of their feel and their swing and their timing and their musicality. And you don't want anything that repeats too much. A simple drum beat is going to get boring really quickly. And another part of arranging that I think a lot of people struggle with is going from a 16-bar groove to a full song. And one of the roadblocks to extending a full piece of music out of 16 bars is variation. You don't just need variation in your sections. Some of the videos that we have up on Beatport in this month speak a lot about sections of songs. And what I'm referring to are the little parts within the sections. Because not only do you not want the sections to get boring, but within a section, you don't want it to get boring either. So if this is the main groove, you really don't want 8 bars of the same thing unless there's a ton of stuff going on around it. But right now we're building this song from the drums up. So we want to create a little bit of variation out of our drums. And this guy right here is what's going to do it for us. Now, as you get used to Drummer, you'll want to play with the drum sound, the drum kit. You'll want to play with the drummers. You'll want to play with the settings. And you'll want to play with these presets. These presets are basically beats. So I've got an 8-bar groove here. I'm going to switch it over to Crash the Party. And as I do that, you see the knob moves a little bit. Echo Park moves a little bit too. What this knob is representing is a blend of different pre-programmed intelligence between simple, soft, complex, and loud. So each of these are the beat, and there's kind of a perfect setting here, but it's only perfect if you think so. You can always grab this dot and just move it around and watch Drummer change its performance. In fact, let's go ahead and do that. Here's Drummer, the preset, Kyle, Rock, SoCal drum set, Echo Park preset. Here we go. It's kind of a 60s beat, a little bit of Motown feeling in there, maybe Roy Orbison's Pretty Woman. Now that's great, and if you can find a use for that, that's terrific. I do want to point out one thing before we start wiggling this. If you listen again, tell me how much variation there is. Did you hear where it changed? It got different here in bar 4 to bar 5. This is a really important point I want to emphasize before we go too much further. When we talk about variations on drums in particular, what we're really talking about is patterns. Now this 4-bar drum loop in this preset at that setting gave us this performance. And I want to point out that in this last bar, the kick got more active. And so what's really happening here in terms of the drums is this. You have 3 bars of one thing and then 1 bar of another thing. Let's listen one more time. Hey, it changed on me. How did it do that? Drummer is intelligent enough to know that if there's a region break in a piece of audio, or in this case, a piece of drum track, it knows that right before then it should throw in a fill. And so the drums got more active here. And so every time you cut this region, you actually tell Drummer to be more and more active. Now, I'm going to go back to this for a moment. This was more of a visual representation, saying that these 3 would be one performance and this 4th would be another. So now that we're back in full steam here, listen again and listen for how this bar and this bar and this bar are the same, but this one's different. Now, the drums got active here at the end, and what we're really looking at is something that we would call A, B. The reason why you want A, B, and not A is because after a while, your brain gets really tired of hearing A. And as soon as you hear a B pattern that's related to A but different, your brain no longer thinks of these as 4 separate bars. Your brain actually thinks of this 4-bar loop as one unit. So in the case before where I was mentioning you have a 16-bar groove and you're trying to extend it out to, say, 32 bars, you can't just copy and paste it 4 times. You have to have some variation in there. Now, the way this would parallel to that would be in your first 16 bars, you create an A groove. In your next 16 bars, you keep the A groove. Perhaps in the third 16 bars, you do A one more time, but in the fourth 16 bars, you vary things up so that it's different from the others. That would be an A, B pattern. There are no rules. You can make whatever pattern you like. It can be A, B, C, D, A, B, A, B, A, B, A, B, A, C, A, B, C, A, whatever you like. This particular case, we have A, B. So that's one thing to pay attention to, or at least give note of. Now, if I extend this out further and do my loop out further, you'll see that Drummer thinks about its patterns and extends them out intelligently. So let's listen to not a 4-bar loop, but now an 8-bar loop. Sorry for the extra play there. So in this case, drummer's doing A, B. And then if we were to predict what would happen next, we might expect A, B again. But drummer says, nah, that's going to be boring. I don't want to do that. Now it does A, B, A again, and then C. So again, what was kind of boring in 4 bars, although kept interesting in the change on the last bar, now becomes 8 bar, and it's even more interesting because the variations continue all the way through. So the point being, this is what drummer does really, really well. Now I do want to point out that this region is not really MIDI, and it's not really audio either. If I zoom here, you'll get a better visual of it. You never see audio with just triangles, and you never see MIDI with just triangles. What's really going on here is this is Logic visually saying, this is drummer behaving. This is what the hi-hats look like, or probably the snares in this case. And then here's big hit, lower hit, big hit, medium hit, lower hit, 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 hit. So the size and sort of vertical versus upper versus lower tend to represent the different drum instruments. But this is not MIDI. So it's kind of a unique thing the drummer's doing here. Now, you can wiggle this dial and change the behavior, and drummer will change its behavior in relatively real time. It takes a little bit to react, does drummer. So this is probably not the best technique to wiggle the knob and expect instant results and try to print that down, although that could be cool. What I think is a really simple way of using this is to simply move the knob until you get something you like. And notice when I move the knob, the region changed. So we were kind of up here. I'm going to show you the bottom corner between simple and soft. I don't know if you noticed, but there was even variation in there. The velocity was moving randomly up and down, causing the snare sound to change its tone. So it wasn't just a single re-triggering of the same sample. There was variation thrown into this simple repetitive pattern, so that even the simple repetitive pattern didn't feel all that repetitious. This is the kind of interactive variation that gets applied a lot in game audio. So it really is intelligently re-triggering these sounds to create variation. So that's soft and simple. Here's complex and soft. Again, lots of kick activity, but still the snare is not big hit. The hats are really small as well. Here's simple and loud. And that's going to get tiring over time. And then loud and complex. So what I'm encouraging you to do is load up a drummer, pick a style, play with the patterns until you start getting things you like. Now, as you start getting things you like by wiggling the dot, you can just keep it and then let it fly. As you find your patterns getting boring, just simply grab your scissor tool and make a cut. And then right before the cut, you'll see drummer will introduce a little variation. So if I take it from 5, so you can see there was a little extra snare in here, crash cymbal at the downbeat, another little fill at the end, crash cymbal at the downbeat. And again, that's drummer intelligently creating variation for you. So I would take this and play with this knob until you get what you like, leave it, make some cuts, create some variation. That would be one great way to build a nice drum pattern that has enough variation to be interesting and enough similarity to keep the beat moving intelligently. So that's the one thing. The next thing would be to consider letting drummer work for you in what I'll call vertical fashion. What we're going to do is we're a little less interested in the pattern, but maybe we're going to play with the drum sound. So I went over to the new kicks beat, which sounds a little like this. Now, if you really like that, you can use it. But maybe you don't love this drum set. Maybe you've got another favorite drum set that you want to use. So what you can do, and I've already done it, I'll move it over here to show what happens. If you take the drummer pattern and simply Option drag, it converts it on the next track to a series of MIDI notes, something you're much more familiar with. And so now, of course, you can individually adjust the notes, add notes, move it from this cymbal to that cymbal, from this snare to that snare, etc. You have a lot of control over the parts here. And so what I've done is I've taken this drum pattern, this guy, which is our new kicks. Again, it's default. And I started applying it to other drum sounds just to see what would happen. So here is my second drum sound. This is this drum set, which is a little bit different, and it sounds like this. I lowered the kick in pitch and I raised the snare in pitch to give it a little bit more of kind of a nu metal sound. And then this is yet a different drum set, this warehouse kick, which I also edited a little bit. That's generally a factory default kit that I edited the kick a little bit on. And then you get this sound. And if that doesn't work for you, you can throw it onto something like Ultra Beat. This happens to be the Big Beat Remix kit, and it gives you this. Which starts to make a little bit more sense for EDM folk until you really pump it up to, say, 142 BPM, and then it makes even more sense to me. Some interesting results when you loop drummer. It doesn't necessarily always pick up the first notes. In fact, if you look at these two notes, you'll see that they're part of the groove of drummer, and you'll see they're just ever so slightly in front of the one. So as it loops around, it doesn't actually pick up the note on value of these parts. So you might want to get in and adjust these if you're going to take this loop and loop it out and expect those first hits to play. So this is working with drummer vertically to create interest, not so much in the pattern, but at least in the tone. Now, one last time, if you wanted to play with drummer and create variations, I would think you could do something like this, which is working with drummer vertically and horizontally. So I'm going to make 3 copies. And then what I'm going to do is in the first one, I'm going to leave the settings as they are, which we've already heard. I'm going to make another loop over here, and I'm going to change the settings from default to loud, but a little less complex. So I'll just move it a little bit over to the simple side. And so now what you could do is Option drag this second pattern down and apply it to your different drum sound. And now these variations are now captured on this sound. And we'll do that one more time over here. Except this time we're going to build complex and soft. I already know I like it, so I'm going to Option drag it down here. So this is one way to create a series of varying patterns that you can use in your piece to do simple song background builds. So what we're left with here is kind of complex and soft, not so complex and loud, and then complex and loud, which are actually in inverse song order. And what I mean by that is you would probably take the song and build it upwards in energy. So now I've taken a very simple 8-bar groove, extended it out to 24 bars, and I've got 3 variations of the same pattern, which is going to give me the feeling of growth in terms of energy. I'll mute this and I'll do this. It's going to give me the feeling of growth over time, really without programming a single lick of drums. So you get the idea. Now, if this is your intro and this is your verse, you will probably want to bring it out another 8 bars so that you have a 16-bar verse. And now, all of a sudden, your song has growth, has energy, and you've got 33 bars out of what started with 8. All of this is meant to give you the sense that when you're building rhythm parts, if you're not very good at them, you can let drummer in its intelligence play for you, and then you simply copy them to the sound you like, which is, again, transferring things vertically, and then arrange them in terms of energy level so that they grow over time. And a lot of the work that we do here at Pyramind, we tell the students to build their songs in at least 4 different tension levels. So this would be tension level 1, tension level 2. This might be tension level 3 if you got in and adjusted these to make it a little more active, and then tension level 4. And that's usually enough to build a song with. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this gives you a little bit of insight into how to build your arrangement using drummer and how to keep from repeating yourself with drums, especially those of you who are really not that good at programming drums. Let drummer inform you as to how a drummer thinks and how a drummer would perform, and let that guide you so that you can get really good at programming drum parts really quickly. And then over time, you can stop using drummer and start building your own the way you want them to. I hope you enjoyed it. This is Matt Donner, Chief Academic Officer at Pyramind. If you want to get in touch with me, or you have comments or questions, or want to learn more about Pyramind, feel free to head over to our website, www.pyramind.com. The left button will get you into the studio side of things, and you can see some of the work we do with AAA video game companies and compose and produce music for them. And if you hit the training button, you'll find out about me and our school and some of the awesome things we've been able to do with our students. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you, Beatport, for this opportunity. We're big fans, and I hope you are too. Take care, everybody. See you next time.
Very much like to thank Pyramind for hosting me here once again. I think this institution is really cool, and until I came here for the first time, I had never seen anything like it in my whole life.
What I think really separates us from other people who teach is that we are outrageously passionate about what we do, and especially in electronic music.
Since coming to Pyramind, I've discovered electronic music, and San Francisco being a mecca for underground electronic music opened up so many doors for me and kind of blew my mind.
We cover everything from absinthe to contact. When people get to the mind-melting level, we get into modular synthesis.
Everything about native instruments, everything about Logic synths down to the finest detail. We learned it all.
The fundamentals of understanding how things work, that's just essential. But then beyond that, there's so much more, and that's where it gets into just a lot of the artistic side of like the creative approach of why you do something, not just how.
There's a lot of schools that just, they focus on the technicality of recording music, but I wanted something that would foster creativity and really help me develop as an artist as well.
Each of our genre-specific programs comes in 4 levels. There's a basic, an advanced, a professional, and then a master's level. And the master's level is, of course, everything we do. It's the largest and most powerful programs that we can create for you.